Welcome everybody to the Pucks on a post-game show. My name is Ryan Schapp. I'm going to be your host for the evening. That's Arash and Ryan today. Prince Pomegranate. I'm not going to open up my AirPods. Little gimmick because that's going to screw up the audio input settings on my MacBook Pro. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on the Vancouver Canucks. Not a lot to get to. Not a lot of meat on this bone. If you're watching this, I appreciate you being a glutton for punishment. You want to continue to feel and live the more difficult parts in your life and avoiding having to do it in therapy. So I appreciate that. If you are in here for some reason, make sure you throw a like and a subscribe on this video and subscribe to this channel. It's been a hell of a day, Arash. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing fine. Yeah, I'm even keel, and I think I put in a better performance with more effort today at work than our fellow Vancouver Canucks did. That was, for all intents and purposes, listless, emotionless, a regression to the farthest depths of regression for this team, and a little baffling considering how they played in Game 5. They didn't make any lineup changes. And I hope Rick Tocchet has one hell of a spaghetti ready for these guys, because them going into Game 7 now on Monday night, that it is what it is. And if you're picking, like I've said this entire time, if there's one team you don't want to get into a one-game playoff with, it's the Edmonton Oilers, because they have nuclear options. And tonight, all their best players showed up. The Canucks.
Wow, it's easy to do that when none of the Vancouver Canucks show up.
Well, it was insane, Ryan. Like we were both watching a game and just no movement, no nothing, no energy, no pep. Connor Garland again is the only Canuck that I felt at any point, just was really pushing the tempo and pushing the ship towards where they needed to get to.
He does not feel nerves. He's the only one that does not have a mental block, and he just plays his game regardless.
Yeah, he plays his game regardless. I thought, really tough night for Susie Myers. And just a bit baffling considering, it's Stu Skinner and they know, and they muster up 14, 15 shots on net in the game, 10 shots for majority of the game. In the last little bit, they get a couple shots. It's pathetic and it's not good enough. And they probably know, but they've put themselves in one hell of a position night. I understand they have home ice, but man, tonight was the night to at least show an effort, at least show something. And no one showed anything. So, yeah, I'm just considering now it's Game 7 Monday. Do you see Thatcher in? Well, there goes the long weekend. But do you see Thatcher now? He's taking shots. Listen, he's taking shots. He's been practicing, and if they don't win Monday night, it's over. So if Thatcher comes to you and says, "Hey, I can play at 80%," maybe that's a boost to the team, and hopefully. I understand you're trying to consider one player's health in the long term as opposed to the short term.
Yeah.
But they have to figure stuff out quick. And I'm really curious to see what the quotes are after this game. I'm really curious what Rick Tocchet has to say.
I'm hanging this decorative corduroy 20th anniversary Vancouver Canucks hat on one key storyline through this whole series is that no team could rally any momentum from a win. You saw it for the Canucks in Game 2. You saw it in Edmonton in Game 3. You saw it from Vancouver in Game 4, Edmonton in 5, the Canucks tonight. I think if you're a Canucks fan, you look at that and not necessarily like, by golly, they've traded wins all night, all series, but there's been no carryover, and it would be probably the worst time for that to change and those nuclear bombs to go off. But both teams have had a horrible time trying to carry any momentum and any positive vibes and any any pattern of success into the following game. But none of those games were a game 7, and they will play game 7 on Monday night. I don't know. The Oilers have 2 goalies, and the Canucks have Artur Shilovs and maybe 2 other guys. But it's nuts to see. It's nuts to see what happened with Calvin Pickard and what's happened with Stuart Skinner and the rebounds that they had, because I didn't see that coming tonight, but here we are.
Yeah, you'd expect them to, carry on some form of momentum, but like even early on in the game when they get they have 2 power plays and they're just not moving there. It's one thing to say that, okay, Edmonton is pressuring and they're skating. You're not moving at all.
No,
you're on your own island. You're stationary. Like, guess what, Ryan? This is the crazy thing. You can take lessons from other power plays. You can give one of your play, like you can have a puck possession team, and where you can have someone on the power play skate with the puck around the perimeter. It's even the 5-on-3, like in the second period, they just were stationary. They're just standing still. Hughes is still, like he's catching his breath. Everyone's catching their breath. They
caught their breath for about 55 minutes tonight.
It was crazy. It was nuts. And I thought, for the first period, I thought, you know what? Okay, they had a pretty decent road period there. But then this story keeps popping up. Their best players didn't show up tonight. And it's maddening for Canucks fans. I think a base of the anxiety is you don't know when they're going to show up. They're going to take one day out. They're going to, be pissed off or whatever, and they're going to be moping or whatever it is. And going into
they're going to
game
get
7,
defended. They're going to get defended against a little bit harder than they were the time before, and then they don't have that iron jaw. They take a punch and they go, whoa. We did, that's not what it was like in game 5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I originally screenshotted this tweet from, I can't pronounce this name. It's a little confusing. I think it's maybe Middle Eastern. I screenshotted this midway through the game.
Yeah, I don't even know what is that?
I screenshotted this to be like, that Arash, these cardiac kids, they got them right where they want them. Sure, it was around this. You tweeted this before they successfully killed the 5-on-3, and I would have said the same thing, but that started to stick with me. And it's like, you have to be raveled to unravel. There had to be something happening in the game for you to like, oh, they're falling apart, because this game started out a lot like many of the losses the Canucks have had. This was just like the other 2 losses the Canucks had going into the night, where no momentum in the first, just no urgency. The quicksand power play, and overthinking everything. I remember they had an early power play in the first where it's just 55, 60 passes to try and overthink and overcomplicate it, and didn't work. And so they didn't become unraveled. They entered the game unraveled.
It was just this is and again, credit to the Oilers. They were getting odd man breaks all night, and they just they were just competing and moving their feet. And if one thing I can say about the Oilers and their history is that in these types of games they have a tendency to pull back when they have a 3-1 lead. I was like, okay, well, third is going to be really, we'll see. And then the Canucks just show up, and then they're just not moving their feet. They're not competing. I don't know, maybe they had I tweeted about it. Maybe they had a pregame meal at Joey or something, and they got food. So I don't know what it was, but this is one of those games, Ryan, where I feel like our postgame show can literally be 20 minutes. Like,
probably will.
There's nothing. There's not. They know they probably played like shit, and I think everyone would rather have. There was a buzz going on in the city and in the streets over by where I work. People were wanting to watch the game, and in my mind, I was just like, okay, well, at least when it was 1-1, I was like, okay, great, we're all right, they were keeping tempo, and just they never turned it on. They never, even if they had turned it on in the last 5 minutes, it's just like, man, you had the opportunity there. You had a cold Stuart Skinner, whom
Emotionally rattled.
Literally, what's not emotional? Yeah, sure, but at the same time, this guy is in the same territory as Dan Kluche. Like statistically, he's in the same territory as Dan Kluche, and you don't test him. Like I'm looking at this power play, and I'm like, no one is in the guts of the ice. No one's in the middle. No one's. That's the thing. Like, they're not even shooting. They're just holding on.
It annoys me so much because in games like this, they're overthinking everything so much because they're trying to do everything perfect. Yeah. And it's like, this is not the time. This is the time to blast it. There was a muffin from Connor Garland in the second or the third, and he was juggling it. It was bouncing off his shoulders, and like he had to juggle it for a second. And it's like, just shoot it at his legs and crash the net. I know the Oilers played a solid game defensively, but you have to want it. You have to get past them. And I'll be full honesty. I don't even think they tested the Oilers in a defensive position. Like, I don't think they put the Edmonton Oilers in a position where they actually had to properly within their system defend for a prolonged period of time. They literally, Ryan, like, it's maddening. They just stood still. All the Edmonton Oilers had to do literally was just stand still. You have CC Nurse out there. Ekholm apparently is a little under the weather. Bouchard, amazing offensive defenseman, has his offensive defenseman, has a few defensive warts. You just didn't in any form. Like, we look at the Höglander goal, right? Like, you just get in front and cause havoc. And the Niels Höglander goal in the first period.
Cutting to the inside. Niels Höglander wide on this side. Now drops for Pettersson. Nice move by Pettersson. In behind in front. Höglander scores! Höglander has tied it.
Exactly that.
Is it any surprise that that's how they scored their only goal of the night? And every other, I don't know. I'm a little perplexed. I'm really perplexed. I don't know how they showed up for this game and didn't have like okay, hey, let's at least pepper this dude. He doesn't have like 20, 25 shots. Something. Make Stuart Skinner make some saves at least. Like, if he's going to earn having confidence, make him earn it.
Something happened. Game 7. Something happened between that, leaving the dressing room and coming out to Rogers Place, because I think back to Sheldon Keefe before the Boston game. I think TNT was filming the pregame speech, and then you're just like, go out there and have fun. And then they're like, yeah, well, Craig Berube, then they showed Craig Berube, they show him before Game 7 against Boston. They're like, we're going to kill him. You're going to win this game. You're going to win the Stanley Cup. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Rick Tocchet's speech skewed a little bit more towards Berube than let's have some fun like a Pee Wee game. But like, I don't know what happened when they stepped on the ice. But the players are banged up, but there's nerves with this team. And there is just this colossal emotional barrier between them and victory some nights, and we've seen this before, and we've seen it tonight.
Well, Tocchet just in the presser mentioned that Thatcher's not playing Game 7. So
that's what a gambler would want you to think.
Yeah, pal, I know. Like, he's like, yeah, no, there's no way that. Actually, it's miraculous. He took a shot of Ozempic, and he's back.
He asked his doctor if it was right for him, and by golly, who would have thought it was?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this is the thing we've talked about ever since they got into round 2, and I think Canucks fans need to roll it back a little bit and just understand that you have to respect this Edmonton team. You have to respect their players. Maybe the Canucks players themselves don't have to respect them as much as they, for whatever reason, decided that they really wanted to play this Game 7. They just really, really, really badly wanted to play this Game 7 in Vancouver.
So it screws up our celebratory weekend. It screws up our podcasting schedule. The Canucks really, They really fucked us, Arash. I'm sorry I'm the one swearing tonight, but purely from a content standpoint and I kick my feet up and watch post-game coverage for days on end, the Canucks really screwed me over. And
What
I'd
you
like an
had?
apology.
Did you have big plans for Sunday and Monday?
My plans were to kick my feet up and be high off the hog of playoff success for the team I have cheered for since my father turned my attention to our UHF television and the game against the Winnipeg Jets, and he said, "That's Pavel Bure," and I went, "Okay," and I've been there ever since.
Yeah, here
Let's
we
go.
are, Ryan.
Quick, funny little note. I appreciate Todd in the chat. We were chatting last night.
Yeah,
Dallas
I was wondering about this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say it was the Alberta beef on the ice, which I believe is thrown twice. The Canucks were like, that's like $75 worth of meat at Urban Fare, and yeah, that's the biggest hunk of goddamn meat I've ever seen. That was like one of the Costco 4-packs right there. But
I was just like, damn, like that's good eating. Like, come on now.
Man,
are they going to give that back to the fan? Like,
it's on ice. It's still good.
Yeah, it's good. It's just a little airborne. It's still good. It's still good.
That thing was sitting next to that person's sweaty leg for 2.5 periods. So you got to think about that.
That guy smuggled in that piece of meat through the metal detector. Somehow he's like, I gotta get this Kirkland steak. Actually, we can't even talk about Kirkland because apparently Oilers fans are slandering Costco.
What for?
I don't know. Apparently they don't like Costco.
They're not.
There's this weird thing. I don't know. How do you not like Kirkland?
Hey, let's look at a graph. You want to look at a graph?
Oh, okay, Justin McElroy. Let's look at a chart. Ryan, I don't know. I'm just getting into my money puck, left wing lock, natural stat trick, advanced analytic era of my life. But Ryan, I don't think past the first period that chart, I don't think it's very good for the Vancouver Canucks.
That's correct. You can see where the power play was to start the second period, and it completely fell off a cliff. Like much beloved former general manager Brian Burke said with the Toronto Maple Leafs, it fell off an 18-wheeler driving off a cliff. Here's a insane stat on here. Natural stat trick looking at the analytics for tonight's game. The Canucks Corsi, I wouldn't believe that if you told me that. High danger chances for were 9-8 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. I wouldn't believe that if you told me that after watching that game.
I don't know what these chances. I don't know what sort of chances were. This is
the
tricky
any
part.
Any shot on goal against Stuart Skinner is a high danger
chance. Yeah. So Ryan, now this is the thing. Now we're going into a game 7. Last game 7 this Canucks team played, I believe, was Vegas, right?
That's correct. Thatcher Demko. That's why you don't go back to him. He's 0-1 in game 7s.
Let me tell you, if I could have, I don't know, I remember that handshake line, and I remember Mark Stone looking at Thatcher Demko being like, "You're fucked, dude. Dude, you're fucked." I don't even know how he did those things. So now they're gonna play in a game 7 with Artur Shilovs, and they just need to whatever effort. This is like a game they need to completely forget about. Just like we are absolutely going to forget about this post-game show, and we're just going to pretend game 6 never happened, and then we'll see how they show up on Monday night. Like I think Canucks fans, the confidence is growing. They're getting up there, and I was always thinking that it's bound to happen that Edmonton's going to have a game like this. There's only so much in where you're going to be able to stop the transition abilities of this Edmonton Oilers team, and couple the positives. They killed off multiple power plays of 5-on-3. You'd think that would give them some momentum, but then they get a power play, then they themselves get a 5-on-3, and it's just listless. Like I honest to God, it's listless, and I don't know. Like
it's embarrassing.
It was interesting in that I believe I don't know when they changed the power play up, but they almost like changed it up a little bit where like Besser was on the point and stuff like that. A couple games ago they just rejigged a few things, and just there's three things that I think the Canucks power play does, and it's Miller, going south into a shot by a pass by Hughes. Either he gives a wrist shot for a rebound or tries to get a shot on goal, or he back passes to Quinn Hughes, who goes for a point shot, or Quinn Hughes gives it to Elias Pettersson, who goes off for a wrist shot himself.
Yeah.
And there's no down low play. There's no again, Lindholm, Besser, could not find them in front of the net all night. Just couldn't get anything going. It was crazy.
They were, they just, it just felt like I don't know. They felt that another level of adversity and another level of pushback they haven't felt in the series and against a desperate team, and they didn't answer back. And now you have two desperate teams showing up for Game 7 on Monday, and it's just a matter of pressure meets pressure. This is what Rick Tocchet has preached all season and since he got this job, and that's exactly what the Game 7 is going to be about. It's going to be, is Elias Pettersson and Lindholm and Nils Höglander going to show up? Is Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl going to unload? If they're got that pin and a grenade just ready to rip it out at a moment's notice, we don't. That's what it comes down to. Oh, this was the first game, and Artur Shilov's. I thought this was the first time Artur Shilov looked quite human, quite mortal. There was that one goal from the point. He was late on the Bush bomb. Just minimal. It reminded me of Carson Soucy's goal on Calvin Pickard in Game 5, and just he was late on that. He was not his usual self. I didn't feel concerned about him because you can only make so many saves, and when your team is playing offensively the way that your team is, unless you're perfect, you're going to lose. But he didn't look the best on a couple of goals against. I'd say that tonight.
Just this is a third string 23-year-old goaltender that I think tonight was his first game where we're like, oh shit, okay, I think he made a few stops that were pretty good, and then again, how many of these goals? So there's a Bouchard shot that he probably has to have. He's not really screened too much on that, but again, it's one of the great point shots in the NHL from Evan Bouchard. The Hyman goal he gets a piece of, but then it kind of fumbles in the back of the net. But then I'm going to blame just the defensive complete tire fire breakdown that led to that Hyman goal.
Awful. Just everybody looking at him.
Yeah. And then let's see what else was there. There was an Evander Kane goal, right? And then there was a Nugent Hopkins goal that was off of an odd man rush, I believe, there as well.
Yep.
So, it's how much work can you do in 2 days, Ryan? As a coach and to figure out your systems and stuff. But you know what? They have home ice advantage. I know it's going, seeing a game like this is really debilitating and you're like, oh, okay, well, whatever. But we'll see what happens, man. Listen, Ryan, if we said, this might be a slight copium, but if we said at the start of the year, you're going to go into a Game 7 against the Edmonton Oilers in round 2 of the playoffs.
You take it. Home ice advantage too.
You take it, man. Home ice advantage, and you take it, and then you just see how things go. Hopefully, Kelly Sutherland isn't refereeing. Knock on wood. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I've been very kind of even keel through this series, and as long as Canucks fans, you understand where this team still has a bit of work to do.
I wanted you to think my stream froze, but it was me just in shock about Kelly Sutherland.
Yeah, let's not will it into existence.
There's only one game left and there's only one active series left. Why wouldn't you? Oh, yeah, there's one active series left. Get your best official. Where's Wes McCauley doing? Bring him in. He only
What's Mick Magoo doing? Bring it. He's Mick's out there somewhere.
What's Tim Peel doing?
Tim Peel's fucking drinking on Twitter, man. Yeah, if you say Kelly Sutherland 3 times, he will appear. Oh man, but Ryan, there's just not much to talk about in this game. I could get it. I already did my angry rant. I think It was one of those games, man. It was just one of those games you were kind of expecting that this was going to happen. And you're kind of glad that this happened. It would be different if the Canucks lost, I think, 2-1 tonight. And they only had 15 shots and they lost like a Nashville-esque game. I would rather this game happen now as opposed to game 7.
Yep.
And with the last change and everything, we'll see how the Canucks do with that. But yeah, man, this is what you live for, and this is exactly kind of the kind of experience that you're wanting this group to get, and we'll see what they're made of Monday night.
Kaya and a few people blowing up the chat. If you're in here for a brief moment, please throw a like on this video, and if you're new here, hit subscribe. I don't know why anyone new would be here tonight.
It's a Saturday night at 8:30. This isn't 10 o'clock. People have made their plans. They're doing stuff tonight.
There's an EDM, a 2-day EDM music festival at the PON grounds that we have to stomach until 10 p.m.
God.
So,
oh God, these kids and their Molly.
Yeah, this was just a tough one, and it was the first dose of reality, maybe. A real dose of reality. Like, you would kind of have this existential dread that, they're going to blow it, they're going to blow it, they're going to blow it. But this was there's only been one game where the Canucks have, lost by more than one goal, and that was game 2 against Nashville. Mm-hmm. But I just think everybody was gearing up and hoping that the Canucks would take care of it and wrap things up with a neat and tidy little bow. And it wasn't the case. And it's it's difficult to stomach, but it is what it is, and it comes down to game 7, and it's been a very fun playoff ride so far. But here we are. There's not much you can say, but a game needs to be played 2 days from now. You have the ultimate motivating factor, and you getting embarrassed in an elimination game that you could have sent your opponent packing. And the Vancouver Canucks have been able to bounce back from almost every loss they've had in the playoffs. But they return home, and we'll see what happens. But it was a tough one to stomach tonight. I'm not going to lie. I had all serious side, I had a hell of a solid anxiety day today. And I don't know if it was because of the Canucks game, because deep in the back of my mind, I was thinking like they're going to be fine. They've got that. This is going to be the game where they pivot from, losing their momentum every night. This is a new Canucks. This is a Rick Tocchet Canucks, and pressure with pressure, and they're going to get it done tonight. You hear the reports that Skinner's going back in. You hear that, Connor McDavid might be banged up. So, you felt optimistic. But yeah, I had a real chore of a mental health day today where I was just kind of feeling it head to toe, and taking more effort to walk, and just kind of really really hitting me, and there's lots of things to stress about, and some good solid triggers were hitting me. But yeah, it would have been nice to change that ship with a Canucks win tonight. It's not going to happen. But I think that now that this game is out of the way, that's one what if that's off my plate, and I can kind of shift my focus. But yeah, it's the playoffs are a challenge on a lot of levels, and not you joke about it, but it's in seriousness. Like, you would like a game to be 4-1 for the Canucks, and it to be over quick, so you can kind of let your BPMs and your anxieties and your just to come down, and it's not happening every night.
Have you ever watched Ford versus Ferrari?
No.
Okay, it's a fantastic movie, and it's one of my neurodivergent movies. But there's this amazing moment where he's driving in this kind of race. It's called Le Mans, and it's basically like a 24-hour race through the night, whatever. And then it's all the other car manufacturers like Ford, Ferrari, and whatever. And Ferrari's won like 3 or 4 Le Mans in a row. Anyway, that's the story of the thing. But there's this moment in the movie where the Ford car and the Ferrari car kind of head to head, and it's like the last couple hours of the race. And then as they're going head to head, the Ferrari guy really works his car to the point where it breaks down.
Yeah.
And the Ford guy is able to go. And there's this moment where Christian Bale is like looking, realizing that, oh my God, it's over. Like the game still, I still have an hour or two to race, but it's over. Ferrari's done. And now it's this wave of like, oh my God. And that's, I think that's what we're looking for, and that's what the Oilers got tonight, man. That's what it is. And with your mental health stuff, I listen, I absolutely understand. Ryan, you and I are breathing this stuff every day. We committed to this post-game show. We're talking about hockey,
every other day.
11 months out of the year until August. August is our dead month, where we just kind of take our break. The thing the thing that helps me kind of maneuver through all this is just, I know that Canucks fans are passionate, especially hockey fans. I know we're extremely passionate and we really want to win, and you haven't won and you want to break the goose egg and you want to get there. But at the end of the day, this is a game. And if you look at it more, trying to distance yourself from emotion just a little bit. There always needs like a preservation kind of buffer for you, where you want to scream on the top of your lungs and you fucking want to go riot. No, I was gonna say you want to go riot, but you really just want to go and have a good time. You need to create a buffer, and that's kind of what I've done. Is that I've been able to just kind of look at a game impartially and say, this is how it went down. I hope one team that does better than the other, but at the end of the day, this is a really good league with a lot of really good players and really good teams. And, you take it game by game, and we're going to game 7, man. And I just, this team, every time we've wrote them off. Every time we think, oh, they're screwed. Every time we think they're never coming back. Oh, they have a bad game when we don't think they're going to bounce back. They've answered the call every single time. And if for game 7 they can come back, even if they don't win, man, just play, show up, fight. Because that's the same thing. That is the same exact thing we are talking about with Elias Pettersson. I think this market, this Vancouver market, more than anything, is that you need to just give an effort. That's part of what made kind of the Willie Desjardins time a little bit more palatable. Is like, you knew they weren't the most skilled, you knew they weren't going to win a ton of games, but like shit, they were genuinely trying. They were genuinely, 4 lines rolling, like trying to win. Obviously, they didn't have the personnel when Bo Horvat and Sven Baertschi are the face of the franchise. But yeah, that's what it is. And I think for it's games like this where it really is demoralizing, where you're like, oh man, we all showed up, we all came and took time out of our Saturdays, and then them infuriatingly in game 5 they show you, oh man, look at the new lines, we got everything going, and then they lay this goose egg. And it's that inconsistency that brings that anxiety, because you just don't know what you're going to get.
Correct.
And that's the thing.
This was a photo Amanda captured of me watching the first period. I was very emotional. I was very mentally exhausted and also not having the best time.
Aww. Stevie with a better effort tonight than most Canucks on the ice. Wow. Look at that. Correct. Where was Stevie? Where's Stevie on the power play?
She wasn't having fun. I took her jersey off.
Let me tell you, she would have worked out. She would have worked the puck around the boards a little bit more. She would have skated. The legs feed the wolf, as Herb Brooks once said in the Major Motion Picture Miracle.
Love it. Let's wrap up this show here. To make a terrible analogy, based on all the current trend in sports broadcasting, you need the lowest of lows and the biggest of losses when gambling to make those highs feel that much better, Arash. And it'll be fun to see. I'm hoping for a very contrasting post-game show for Game 7, just so that you can kind of... I'm hoping for that contrast, and just that you can see that you kind of need both in life for these... for big games to feel that much sweeter. I'm speaking in very vague terms, but I'm looking for a contrasting post-game show on Monday night to kind of pair with what we saw after Game 6.
Yeah, all I know is that the only person who can save us is Jonathan Lecaramaki. Put the kid in. Put him in. Put him in. Just let him grip it and rip it. We need shot. I'm just kidding. There's no way. Don't put a 19-year-old kid who weighs 170 pounds in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Don't do that. That's not good. We didn't learn from Mike DiPietro. We're not going to learn now. Just put the kid in. It doesn't matter.
For the Prince of Pomegranate or Arash from Mars today, I am Ryan Schapp, patreon.com/pucksonnet. Give this video a like if you're watching it now, live or later. And we'll be back for Game 7 on Monday. And we've all learned that this fella is starting.
Believe in the boy. He's beautiful. He's amazing. Believe in it. He did it for Latvia. He'll do it for us.